Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Kenny Conversation, brought to you by JEGS, the leader in high performance aftermarket car parts. Remember to go to jegs.com for everything you need to fix your everyday vehicle up or that hot rod sitting in your backyard, in your garage. All right, everybody, you are looking at the rarest 24-year-old in America. He's not just a racer, but listen to this. This is something we want to highlight. Austin Harris is a NASCAR fan. Austin, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on, Herman.
So, I always come out with this thing called a disclaimer. And here is the disclaimer. Uh, Austin Harris races a compact car every weekend at Federated Auto Parts Raceway Park, right here about 15 minutes from my house. He's a young racer. He's 24 years old. But more importantly, we're going to start like this. Austin and myself were talking a handful of days ago. And Austin, you said that you arrived at your house in your pickup truck and you caught yourself running in to watch the NASCAR race. Tell me about this.
It was Sunday afternoon, and I think there was like 50 laps to go. And I just ran inside and went straight to the living room, and I had to turn on the NASCAR race. I had a couple other things I could have done, but there was only 50 laps to go, so it was getting good.
So you told me through our conversation, because we are friends, and I thought this would be a great look inside a 24-year-old kid's brain, because let's face it, we're in an area right now where we look at our demographics, and these NASCAR fans are 40 to 75 years old. I just thought it was really odd that you liked NASCAR. I know you kind of grew up in racing, but you took this path where I'm going to go dirt racing. But you've never really hated NASCAR. Or tell me about your affection with NASCAR.
I started going to NASCAR races with my dad and my grandpa when I was, gosh, probably 10 years old. I think the first track I ever went to was Michigan. And then from there, Chicagoland, because we lived up there. And I've been to Daytona and Bristol. And I just love NASCAR.
Makes me happy. It does, because you're so rare. We're going to dig into this really deep, because we've been talking about why don't young kids like cars? Why don't they like NASCAR as much as we think they should? On one of the Coffee with Kenny's lately, we talked about the ability for your age group to work on passenger cars nowadays. In my day, it was very easy for me to change the oil, change the spark plugs, put an air filter on. I know that you work somewhere right now. Tell me about your working environment with Joey Laws. You work for Joey Laws. Tell me your dynamic right now.
Yeah, so we sell used cars. So we're in the used car business. So I'm working on cars every day. Not so much the newer cars, but new enough. New enough to where you or the average everyday person couldn't really work on them if you don't have the right tools and knowledge.
I've been to your place about a year ago, and I was shocked to see you. Tell me about this specific car. Now, what we're doing, everybody, is we're digging into the mind of a 24-year-old. Why does he like cars? Because right now we have these young kids that they think they're car people if they're drifting. They buy
Yes.
they buy the Yokohama tires, they drift, they buy a headlight and a spoiler, and they go, man, I'm like, no, you're not taking the motor apart. But I watched you last year. Tell me about that. How many cylinders were going on? Your specialty, I think, is blown out head gaskets. Tell me about this.
Yeah, so we get some Equinoxes. They have the 2.4 Ecotech motors, and coincidentally, that's the same motor that's in my race car. So I already knew a lot about them. But they'll jump time they have a timing chain, and it'll bend the valves in the cylinder head. So we take the cylinder head off, take the timing set off, take the cylinder head to the machine shop. They'll put new valves in it, resurface it for us. I'll set down a new head gasket, tighten the head bolts, torque them down and everything, put the new timing set on, and we'll sell that vehicle as a kind of like a rebuilt top end. It's brand new.
Yeah, it is kind of funny when people, go, hey, your motor blew up. It's going to be $6,000 to fix it. They're like, the hell with that. I'm buying a new car.
Yep.
You take this motor and make it like brand new because
Correct.
the bottom ends are normal. It's the top end that is volatile. Is that what you find?
Yep, every time. I think we just had one recently where the bottom end it got overheated, so it's warped a little bit. I do have to replace the motor on that one, but very rare. Been here 2 years now, and that's the first one.
Okay, everybody. So we're digging into Austin's mind. Okay, he likes cars. What's the name of that used car dealership there?
Checkered Flag Auto Sales in Crystal City, Missouri.
Man, what a name. Crystal City, Missouri. And Joey himself is a good race car driver. Tell me about your boss.
Yeah, so I got hooked up with him 2 years ago now, and I actually drive for him my race car. He owns it. Um, he races as well. Very, very good race car driver. We've been traveling with the SCDRA series, which is the compact series down south, and next week here we'll be racing for $100,000.
Wow, these compact cars. Listen up, everybody. We're going to end here in a minute. We're going to go back to the start of Austin's life, try to get a look inside why he likes NASCAR. But let's finish this up. What is going on with the compact cars? Why are they paying so much money to win all over America?
Well, I think it's just all of racing. You look at the late models; they're paying the most they've ever paid. They just raced for $1 million a couple of years ago, and then you go to the modifieds; they're racing for 100,000. So it's just trickling down the grapevine here, and finally got to us. So we're racing for some big money, and just here in February, we raced for $21,000.
Where do you got to travel, and what state, and how many cars show up?
So mostly we go to Georgia, some in Tennessee and Kentucky, South Carolina. That's most of our big races. This $100,000 is in Kokomo, Indiana.
I like Kokomo. I've been there one time. All right, we have done our investigating. We know what he's doing now, and you yourself, you race. Tell me your weekly program with your race car.
Yeah, so I raced a Chevy Cavalier. It's just a four-cylinder car that we turn into a race car. Race weekly at Peevely, a little bit at Tri-City, and then I'll be at my parents' track sometimes down in Doe Run.
Tell me about this, your parents' track. We're digging even deeper, everybody. Why does the 24-year-old race car driver, why does he watch NASCAR? Why does he take the time out to watch NASCAR? Okay, we're digging deeper. Your dad, tell me about this racetrack in Doe Run, Missouri.
Yep. So in 2019 COVID year, I think it was like March. We were down in Florida, I think, when he bought it. Me and you were, Kenny.
Yeah, I remember.
Yep. So he bought that in 2019, and it was shut down for 5 years. We completely rehabbed the entire facility, um, and now we race every Friday night.
Yeah, your dad, Tommy Harris, what a badass. What a tough guy. So the original owner died, I believe, of heart issues, some type of situation. It was considered a small tire track, go-karts, maybe B-mods like you're running now. And this place was junk. And I'm just calling it the way I saw it. It was junk. You went in there and you brought this thing back from the dead and everybody so excited. How many race cars do you guys get on a weekly average down there on Friday nights in Doe Run?
Weekly, we're around 80.
Yeah. And these are go-karts. What type of cars do you run?
We run the go karts, which is like the kids' ages. I think it starts at 5 to 14, somewhere in there, and then you move up into the junior sprints and the micros, restricted micros, A class, outlaw. We run the compact cars and B mods. I'm sure I'm forgetting a few classes, but all small tire cars. We're not running late models and A
Yeah.
mods, none of that. So
And dough run is very important for the people that are just starting out. It's almost like a racetrack where you can go and get going, get your career going.
absolutely. We got kids every week, every year that have never been in a race car. Maybe they run the yard cart around their parents' yard or whatever. But yeah, we got new kids coming in all the time, and that's really what it's about—a family-oriented track.
What is the biggest problem? The young kids or the dads that want to be driving their cart?
Oh gosh, the young kids, they don't care. They get out of the cart and they'll run off and they'll go play with their friends, and then we're still dealing with the parents.
What is it about the parents? Boy, they think their kid is Kyle Larson right now, don't they?
Well, like you always say, my son's won 8 championships and he's only 6 years old.
How's he going to get a sponsor? And I said, get in line. Y'all are lined up. The Jeff Gordon, the Kyle Larson day that line is a mile long. And I find that the parents fight. The kids are over there and they're like, what? And the parents go to fighting each other because your kid ran into my kid. And have you had to break some fights up?
Absolutely, it gets pretty intense. These, like you said, the dads want to be driving the race car, but they can't, so they put their kids in it.
Yeah.
And when they run over each other, the kids are like, oh, whatever. But the dads, they get mad.
Yeah. All right. I think I've done my due diligence here. We're at 13 minutes. We know what you're all about. So this is kind of like one of those movies where we kind of tell the ending at the start. Let's go back. Why is a 24-year-old a NASCAR fan? All right. Where were you born?
I was born just outside of Chicago, Illinois, in a little town called DeKalb, Illinois.
How are you born in Chicago? I mean, what about the Bears? What about the Chicago Cubs, Chicago White Sox? How did you become a NASCAR fan growing up in Chicago?
We just started by my dad taking me to the dirt track, Sycamore Speedway. The Summer Nationals run there now.
I've raced there.
Yep. So started there really, and then I guess started by going to Chicagoland, and Michigan was the first couple NASCAR tracks I went to.
What is your first memory? Uh, so you're 24 years old. How old do you think you were when you attended your first NASCAR race?
I believe I was 8 to 10, somewhere in there.
Do you remember what track it was?
The first one that I don't really remember Chicagoland very much. I remember Michigan quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. All the way to, no, your dad, I know your dad. He's a man's man. He's a tough guy. We all look up at him. He's probably, I don't know what is your dad, 6'5"?
Yep, exactly.
He's something like that, and you don't mess with him. What made him? Have you ever talked to your dad? Like, why are we putting all this effort in? Why are we packing our family up? Why are we spending the thousands of dollars to go? I mean, it's a lot to go to a NASCAR race. I mean, if I go down to watch the St. Louis Cardinals play, I got to go down. I got to find a parking spot. I pay for the parking spot. I got to pay to get in. I got to get in and out of my seat to eat, because I can't always. I mean, it's a lot of work. Have you ever talked to your dad like, Dad, why are we doing this?
I think it was kind of like our family vacations. I don't know for sure, but that's kind of what I would assume. We pack up the family and we're going to Daytona. We're going to go to the beach for a little bit, go down the strip and everything, and then go to the NASCAR track.
Did you look up at NASCAR as the big boys? Like, this is the biggest there is. Did you look at NASCAR like, oh my God, this is it? We're at the big time right here.
Absolutely, and still do today.
Okay, what drivers were you attached to, early in your life in NASCAR?
I really like Tony Stewart. He had I believe, what was it, the Home Depot car back then?
Yeah. Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I would always like Carl Edwards because he did the backflip.
Mm,
I believe when we were at Bristol, it got rain delayed, turned into a night race, and he actually won. So I got to see him do the backflip. Super cool. Jimmy Johnson's a big Lowe's car. Uh,
yeah.
and obviously Dale Jr. Everyone looks up to Dale Jr.
So when we look at getting kids into sports nowadays, NASCAR came out with this stat that said, and it was a silly one to me. They said, we find that kids like the digital era right now. We're going to change the dashboard on our NASCAR race cars. So when the young kids look at the dashboard, it's all digital looking. And I thought that was odd. But now you're telling me, hell, Carl Edwards' backflip for you as a young kid really made you go, wow. So the backflip, besides Carl being a good race car driver, was it the backflip or Carl Edwards winning that drew your attention to him as a young kid?
It was the backflip. He was the only one that did it. So yeah, I think anyone would say that.
Yeah. All right. So here you are right now. When you look back on those days, what track? You said you went to Michigan, you've been to Chicagoland, you've been to Bristol, you've been to Daytona. As we'll get to you and I, but as a kid, what one of those tracks, besides all of them, what one of those tracks is embedded in your brain for the rest of your life?
Probably Bristol, the last great Coliseum.
Yeah.
You get there, and now it's changed a little bit, but still kind of the same. I believe we parked across the street. Maybe I was young, but you take the golf cart and you go up the hill, and they kind of got golf cart shuttles, and then when you get in there, it's down in a hole almost.
Yeah. So that when you saw that racetrack for the first time, when I was a kid and I went to Busch Stadium where the Cardinals play, I remember when I was a kid, I walked in there and it was the first time I seen, you know, a stadium and all these bright lights. Did that affect you? Do you remember the first time you walked into Bristol? I mean, when you walked into your seat?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like I said, it was down in a hole,
Yeah.
and it was a day race, but rain delayed turned into a night race, so they did turn the lights on. Super cool.
When it was rain delayed, people are upset nowadays. They feel like it's NASCAR's fault. It's raining. Why did NASCAR let it rain? Was it like that with your family, or did you understand that? Now, this is a little bit of a joke, okay? But you hear this. NASCAR needed to be prepared. It's raining. And that's where the rain tower came from right now.
Yep.
So instead of getting, these particular tracks dry, like, say, Richmond or Loudon, they're not even drying the track completely. They're going green flag 2 hours early, and they're racing on a wet racetrack. When it rained back then, did your family just enjoy the rain? Were they aggravated? What did you do as a family when it rained?
I think we went under the grandstands or walked around the souvenir trailers. All that stuff was still open. They didn't care, but they just weren't racing. It's kind of like the pre-race activities, where you walk around and get some food maybe or whatever. But yeah, not NASCAR's fault. We're in the mountains. It's Bristol.
Yeah. What year? So you're 24. We take off 10. That puts you at 14. You told us, I guess, your drivers, were Tony. I mean, if you knew Tony Stewart, uh, that is that era. Was it about 2006 to 16? I mean, around that time, 2006, 2008. Uh, do you believe that's the era that you were in?
Oh yeah, for sure. Uh, I'm 24 now. My age pretty much goes with the years. So if it was 2008, I would have been 8 years old, and then We all the way up until 20. I'd say probably 2017. We were going to the NASCAR tracks.
Okay, I want to get to where everybody wants me to talk about here. All right, 2006 was for sure the height of NASCAR. So we lost Dale Sr., but the sport kept growing because we felt like Dale Jr. was going to be his dad. We thought Dale Jr. is going to wreck people for the win. Crowd's going to be on their feet. But you're saying you all just after 2006 you kept going to the racetracks.
Absolutely. Didn't really. I was too young to even know Dale Sr. I believe, I knew of him, but didn't get to watch him race or anything like that. So I didn't really have any knowledge of that.
So that's the generation gap that we talk about. You didn't know. You didn't know Dale Sr. You didn't know Bill Elliott. So you attached right out of Tony Stewart, but Carl Edwards stood out with the backflip. Do you think right now, what driver, is there anybody like Carl Edwards? Is everybody, what do you think about today's drivers?
They're definitely different. I wouldn't say they're different in a good way, though. Everybody's like got their own character, you could say. T. Stu, he was kind of the mean one. Let's turn the cars around backwards and wreck the whole field, that type of thing. Yeah.
That's what you remember. You remember that quote as a young kid.
Yep.
They were wrecking so much at Talladega that he got mad. He said, all right. He told Steve Burns, let's take all the cars, run them backwards and smash them in each other. And as a child, you remember that.
Absolutely.
I love this. Okay. So today, who is our villain in NASCAR?
Who's the villain? Used to be Ross Chastain, but he kind of calmed down a little bit. Now you could say it's what's his name? Carson Hocevar.
Oh yeah. Okay. So he's very young. He's your age. Yeah. I was expecting you to say Denny Hamlin. Do you feel like you're young? So Denny Hamlin aggravates people. Does he aggravate young people or old people?
I really like his podcast. I didn't like him so much before this, but when he came out with that podcast, I just seen it maybe about a year ago. I started seeing it, and I told you, I was like, I've become a Denny Hamlin fan because I like the tone of his voice. When he's on the racetrack, it's different, but when you hear him talk on his podcast, I really liked his tone of voice. Kind of soothing a little bit, oddly enough, but yeah.
I want to give you a lot of credit in front of a lot of people. I would like to think that I'm very open-minded. As a matter of fact, I know I'm open-minded. And you were going racing with me, and you'd put them earplugs in. I'm like, what the hell is he doing with them damn earplugs in? And you explained to me that you would – here you are, 24 years old, and you love Joe Rogan. And I just want to say a little bit more to prep you for this question. It is thought of as our President Trump won the presidency because of a podcast. And you listen to Joe Rogan. It is thought of that now you just said that you like Denny Hamlin more now because of his podcast, Actions Detrimental. What is it with podcast and young kids your age? I do see these kids with the earbuds in. Are you all listening to music or podcast?
A little bit of both, but I lean more towards podcasts now. I'll be driving in the truck, and I was just down in Georgia yesterday, and probably if it was 7 hours, I've listened to a podcast 5 hours, music 2 hours. That's my kind of percentage.
My son-in-law, Brody Pompey, he reminds me of you. Here, I never thought I'd see another you, and here Brody is, right at 30 years old, up in that shop. He owns Fusion Carts, and he's building these outlaw carts that Rico Abreu and Kyle Larson, and I'll walk in there, and there he is with them damn earbuds in. What do you think he's doing? He tells me, what do you think he's doing?
He's listening to a podcast. I don't know which one, but he's listening to one of them. I got a lot that I listen to. whether it be Joe Rogan, which is he's kind of neutral. I wouldn't say, he has different type of guests on all the time, from doctors to comedians and just different people. And then I have true crime podcasts that I listen to, and then all the way into NASCAR.
This could be the most important question I ask you as we're looking at a 24-year-old NASCAR fan, everybody. We're trying to figure out why he likes NASCAR, because our demographic is so old in NASCAR. When you I guess it's pretty simple just to ask. Have you ever thought of why there's so many haters in NASCAR? Do you recognize that? Do you recognize that people talk badly of NASCAR?
I hear about it, but I don't really see it. All my friends online, they all, when they post about it, they say, "Wow, that was a good finish." Stuff like that. I hear about it, but like I said, I don't see it very much. I guess it all depends on who you surround yourself with. If you want to be around negative people, then you're going to see negative things.
So you're telling me, look here, I'm going to do one of these. Are you telling me that if you want to find bad things and associate with bad, you can?
Absolutely.
So all your friends, you guys like NASCAR.
Yes. 100%.
Okay. All right. And this is what this has been all about. We're going to try to figure out. When you got out of that pickup truck last week, the race was Darlington. And you just said it to me, and I said, "Hey, let's do a Kenny conversation." You I know you like NASCAR, but you said you like NASCAR more this year than last year.
Correct. I've watched every single race this year. Maybe, not the whole thing. I turn it on in the shop or whatever. But I'm definitely watching the ending, and I think that's because it's just so good. You can't not watch it. I don't know how people don't.
And when these races are unbelievable like they are, you got the old people, my group, they're mad that Earnhardt's gone. They're mad that the old days are gone, but your group, you don't know nothing about those days. And do you think that's why the ratings are so high this year? Do you think you're younger? Do you think we're finally in a year where the young kids are maybe your group? Do you think your demographic's starting to take over a little bit and you're seeing these races are so exciting?
I mean, I don't know for sure, but I really hope so.
Have you ever thought about a baseball game or a football game? You know, a football game is 4 quarters, right? A baseball game is 9 innings. Have you ever thought, as weird as I am, if everybody wants the excitement, why don't we just go to the last quarter, 2 minutes to go? Why don't we play a football game only 2 minutes to go? They start the football game and it's only 2 minutes long.
Yes.
I mean, all sports are lengthy sports. I mean, there could be 2 minutes to go in a football game and it takes 15 minutes. You don't hear people complain about that.
Absolutely. Even if you go down to the Cardinals game, you're there for, gosh, it feels like forever.
So, if all sports are lengthy, we know that all sports are lengthy. Do you feel like with the invention of Monster Jam, flipping the trucks, do you think like the invention of the snowmobiles now flipping, do you think we're in an era now that it's harder to entertain people? In other words, what I'm saying is, the NASCAR race is so long. It's so long. Well, hell, go to a baseball game. Go to a football game. What is it with society? I'm trying to get inside your 24-year-old brain. You like NASCAR, but you're saying, yeah, it's a long race. But what do you do during this long race, Austin?
Like I said, I'll turn it on in the shop on Sundays. I'll be working on the race car, and you kind of just have it as background noise. Something happens, you look up. Oh, this spun out, or their pit stop. So, but then there's other times too. I'll be on the golf course. Truthfully, I'll be golfing, and I'll have it on my phone. Um, and then other times I'll just be chilling at the house, and I'll watch the whole thing.
Kenny Schrader, I want to talk about Herman Schrader with you in a little bit, but Kenny Schrader says it best. Just about every week, I'll say, Kenny, what did you do? He goes, well, we were in the shop on Sunday. We had the race on for background noise, and all of a sudden the TV got real loud, and we all went running to the TV.
Yes,
Is Kenny right?
absolutely. Like I said, when something happens, you look up. You know when something happens. Like he says, they get loud.
Is that the way it is in football and baseball when somebody scores a touchdown and or a home run gets hit or somebody scores? Is that what happens with other sports? They get loud?
Pretty much the same way. If you go down to Cyberg's up here, the Cardinals hit a home run, you know it.
In the restaurant.
Yes.
What do you think as a 24-year-old? You know, we're gonna every time I say 24-year-old, we're gonna take a drink of coffee. What do you think of these stage breaks? Because here's where I'm getting to with this. NASCAR decided to cut the race up in sections because they thought they thought Austin's 24-year-old brain cannot sit here and watch this whole race. So we're going to break it up in sections. Do you know NASCAR did that for you?
Yeah, they did it just for me. Because here's the reason why. I can't sit there and watch 500 laps straight. Maybe there'll be a caution every now and then, but I know if there's only, the first stage is 120 laps. I got to sit and watch it for 120 laps, and I can get up and go to the bathroom and get something to eat or whatever. It's not 500 straight through.
So for the old people that go, I don't like stage breaks, what do you want to tell them?
It's just a new way. I don't have a very long attention span, but I can watch 120 laps 4 times over.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. So you're saying you do like the stage breaks. You like what NASCAR's doing.
Yeah, it allows me to get up and do something. If I'm just sitting at home watching, allows me to get up and do something. Take the trash out while they're pit stopping or whatever.
My thought is that it allows them, Tony Stewart was our very first, guest on Kenny Conversation. And I don't want to bring it up, but I got to complete this topic. Years ago, they throw a caution, to gather the field up. Do you think the stage breaks kind of take over that? So in other words, hey, we're going to throw a stage break here. It's going to let the young kids get up, go to the bathroom, get a beer, and it will help us with the show. Now we're going to gather everybody up.
Yeah, competition caution. That way, you're not in lap traffic no more. Everybody's juking and jiving. We're not all spread out.
Okay, so you like NASCAR, and I guess the bottom line is you told me, and I want you to respond to this, and I want to know why. You told me you didn't really care that much about NASCAR last year in 2024, but now in 2025, you told me that, man, you just can't turn away. Can you give me detail to the old people that are listening right now? They're bitter. What is it that you like so much more this year about NASCAR compared to the previous years?
I think it started probably a couple of years ago. I just didn't really notice it as much. But the finishes, how close the finishes are, um, that's what does it for me. I'm watching just for the finish. Even if I got to watch all 500 for the last two, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, everybody. I think that's a deep look inside of a 24-year-old. You surround yourself with positive mental attitude. All your buddies like NASCAR. You told me that if you want to find negativity, you told me this years ago. You said, Herman, if you want to find negativity, you can go down that rabbit hole. You choose to be positive. You like racing. Your family grew up in racing. You own a racetrack. You did something a couple years ago that shocked the racing world because everybody knows you throughout the Midwest. The reason everybody knows you, and I'm sorry to be long-winded here, but this allows more than just a question. I'm making a statement, then I'm going to ask you the question. You worked for me for a couple years, and everybody, Kevin Rumley, all the NASCAR teams, they would see you with me and they would all stare at you. I'm like, what the hell is the deal with this? Everybody, I'm telling you, everybody's listening right now, whether you're on YouTube or Dirty Mo, they would all stare at you. I know why, but do you know why everybody was staring at you?
I didn't know it at the time, but I know now. I'm rare. Uh, I don't want to brag on myself, but I will a little bit. I'm a worker, and I love racing. So you put those two together, a lot of people, it raises some people's interest.
So Kevin Rumley, the great engineer, whenever Kyle Larson races the dirt super late model, he drives Kevin Rumley's car. Kevin Rumley, the smartest man in dirt racing, even if he's not right now, he invented it. And now all the other crew chiefs are,
Using it.
they're using it. They're making it better. He called me a couple, 3 times. He said, let me hire that kid. Let me hire you. So you ended up choosing to go with another race car driver. We're going to leave his name out of it. So you said, okay, I'm going to do this. In detail, give everybody that's listening your experience working a handful of months with a touring dirt super late model team. Give me your experience.
It's tough. It's not for the weak. I would say it's a lot of work, which doesn't bother me. You're away from home, like you taught me. You're in the hauler with a bunch of sweaty men. There's probably 4 of you. Uh, just didn't really like the scene like I thought I would. I would just wanted something more in life, and there's nothing wrong with it. Don't think I'm going that way with it, but um, just didn't. I want to have a home, a family, and you can do it. It's just tougher. Uh, so I didn't last very long. We'll say that.
So you quit, and then of course I call the dirt racing community a cult.
Mm-hmm.
So the cult, the thousands and thousands of people started talking about, oh wow, Austin quit, and you heard the rumors. So you put out a beautiful, well thought out letter to all of the dirt racing world, and everybody read it, and everybody agreed with you. And in the end, when I read it, I thought, boy, this is really good. Every time you showed up, you were pressured to have 3 sets of tires ready to go, and if they weren't ready by a certain time, you're packed in there. You can't get away from anybody. So you're saying is it the hardest job you've ever done?
I would say probably yes. There's a lot of pressure on you too. Man, is there pressure? Especially when I kind of jumped right off the deep end. I was with one of the top touring late model guys. So I mean, leaving lug nuts loose. Just it was the little things that really got to me because there's a lot of pressure on you to run good.
Yeah.
You have to run good every single night.
What kind of money? Not what kind of money you make, but when you look at the kind of money, what are they making out of? What are crew members your age making in the dirt racing world? Not what you made, but both sides.
Anywhere from 500 to probably 900, somewhere in there. Plus, they give you a place to live. They pay for most of your food when you're on the road and everything. The hauler will be stocked for you. Um, so really, pretty good money. Plus, you get benefits too. Most of these late model teams now they're employed through a big company basically. So my check didn't come from say the late model driver, it came from his owner's company.
Right. So we need wealthy people in dirt racing, right?
Yes.
So the wealthy people in dirt racing, they're the ones that spend the money for, these drivers.
Absolutely.
It's the same in NASCAR, everybody. It's just that because they run dirt and they run these smaller tracks, a lot of people think, oh, it's dirt racing, it's the grassroots. But it's these companies that run these dirt super late model teams. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, anything from plumbing companies, electrical companies, oil drilling companies, just massive towing companies, massive companies, multi-million dollar companies that fund all these racing operations.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think we've kind of gone everywhere. And I think this is a look for everybody. We're taking a chance doing this. I thought, let's do this. Let's talk to one of the youngest people that are just around. Charlie might have, but I don't know. But Charlie, we need to drop a picture in of Austin's race car right now. Tell me about your race car. I know a lot about your race car, and it to this day it amazes me what you all do with these compact cars. I'm like, you all work hard. There's a false image out there that you take these things off the street and you race them. I know that's not true. I'm like, holy moly, you work harder on these compact cars than I work on my car. So I'm going to let you take it right now. When you go get a car, tell me what you do to it.
Well, it used to be kind of like the beginner class, but I think it's far from that now. My gosh, we'll have just as much money in a B mod as we will a compact car, and that's just the truth. Cutting it apart, putting the cage in it, the motors, they're expensive now, transmissions as well. We do standalone wiring harnesses, so nothing is when we get a car from 1995, that's a 30-year-old wiring harness. We can't have that in the car, especially when you're running for $100,000. You don't want a little wire to break in your car, not start or what have you. So, we're upwards of $20,000 into these little compact cars.
I want to go here with you. You buy the car, and then I noticed that instead of putting the cage in it, do you all cut the top of this passenger car off and put the cage in? In other words, what I'm looking at of you right now is tell me the process. You go get the car. Where do you get it? A junkyard? Do you buy it? Somebody? Tell me from start to finish.
My gosh, they're getting hard to find. Between drag racing and dirt racing, street cars, they're really hard to find. And finding a good one that's not rusted out. But yeah, just kind of anywhere, junkyard, make marketplace, you'll come across them if you're looking. So we'll start by taking all of the interior out of it. Nothing's left on the interior; it's just bare sheet metal. And then from there, yes, we will cut the top off of them. Now, man, they're going even as far as cutting the frame horns off of them, and down to the firewall and the floor pan. That's all that's left. And then yeah, we'll start from there. That's kind of our base, and we'll start putting the cage in, and then once you get the cage in and the frame horns, and it's a lot of tubing work. We just got done building one actually.
How long does it take to build a compact car?
If you really stay on it, I would say you could have one done in a month.
Wow.
Sometimes even quicker. It really just depends. We're kind of just working after work. So I work till 6 in the evening, and then I'll stay in the shop till 9 or 10 o'clock at night sometimes to get some stuff done on the race car.
Yeah. All right, everybody, we did it. We got to 45 minutes, and that was my goal. I hope you all enjoyed this look inside a 24-year-old brain, why he likes racing, why he races, his work ethic. Man, you are a hard worker, and you are rare. Austin Harris, everybody. Austin, thank you for being on Kenny Conversation.
Thank you, Herman, and thank you for being my friend.
Yeah, I taught you that, didn't I?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much more to say about that. But listen up, everybody. If you want to see Austin's pretty face, we're right here on YouTube. But if you just want to listen like Austin does, Austin listens to podcasts. If you want to do that, you can listen to Austin Harris right over there on Dirty Mo Media on their podcast. Until the next Kenny Conversation or Kenny Conversation, we'll see you next time.